Good afternoon, good morning, and namaskar to everybody. Dear Dr. Nilesh Desai, our old friend, and Mr. Sudhir Kumar. Then we have other panel speakers and delegates. I would like to briefly bring about the highlights of the discussion that we had yesterday. In fact, it's very, very heartening. So before we started our proceedings, I would like to dwell on yesterday's proceedings. It was very heartening to start with the two-day proceedings. In fact, it's very overwhelming responsibility. The response from each one of the delegates that came in. Day one of SATCOM emerging trends saw close to 20 speakers from 12 countries and over 350 participants. SATCOM proliferation will have a major impact on economy and employment in India. In fact, each speaker has dealt with kind of a number of employment that can be likely to be provided and the economy that's going to impact it. They brought it very closely, many numbers in this regard. And of course, in India, future is also the future prospects in terms of OTT, LEO technology, IoT, and low-cost satellites, and also disruptive satellite applications have been dealt with by many speakers. And for India to truly gain its rightful position, it is necessary to have well-defined regulations that take into account efficient spectrum allocation for SATCOMs, NGSOs access, liberalizing Indian satellite systems, new regulations for NGSO services and partnerships with the foreign operators, etc. And these are one of the important points that has come up in the discussions. And perhaps we'll also work out kind of a suggestion from our side as a policy initiative. In fact, the policy we expect should be bold enough, allowing for commercial viability for businesses in this sector, while keeping national security parameters in mind. And collaboration between government and the industry, we say the government and industry are very, very critical, and open space policy must be considered. The global satellite industry stands today, in fact, very big number, 350 billions. And given the right impetus, India has very real chance to reach at least 50 billions market. And that market share from what is supposed to be today 2%, it will be likely to go into 10%. That perhaps going to be about $50 billion business. And in order to address that type of business, a policy regulations must be in place, and also support of the government. In this regard, Mrs. Deepa Tyagi, DDG, TEC, Technology Engineering Services or DOT, stated that a new TEC standards for NGSO is going to be formed shortly, very shortly, which would be for the stakeholders consultation soon. At this juncture, space has opportunity to play supplementary and complementary role for development and growth. The key highlights from the deliberations, few of them again, I'll sum up once again here. It says the integration of satellite, mobile and terrestrial infrastructure in order to provide advanced communications is very, very important. Local manufacturing under Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Local manufacturing of user terminals would be key to keep the overall SATCOM costs low. The heavy customs duties, as we see today, are impeding the technology transfer between the countries, hence must be reduced. A very conducive taxation must also, a policy should be also to be brought out in this regard. The SATCOM is the most viable solution technically and financially if that has to happen. And it also has the role to play very extensively in the 5G network in India. Therefore, newer software-based payloads and technologies expected in LEO and geostationary orbit satellites in the near future, they result into more flexibility of the satellites that is going to be put up in future in India, over India. The spectrum allocation is expected to play a major role in India's road to being a digital giant. India has already become a digital giant, it's going to be further to a digital giant, and is going to satellite communication, SATCOM is going to help in this regard. The spectrum sharing is a must. Either 5G should be allocated, say whatever, between 26 gigahertz to the 28 gigahertz, that should be provided for satellite communications to keep the best of the both worlds. This, in fact, we already represented to DOT, and this has come up again during the seminar, and we are going to strongly recommend this to the government for a policy initiative in this regard. And the financing the capacity expansion of the space sector in addition to liberalization and reduction of the bureaucracy related activities, and they're the key elements that's very, very important for the growth of the Indian satellite sector. Again, as you all know, the space industry is very asset heavy. A lot of investments to be made into this. Therefore, understanding the market and its demand is very, very prerequisite for any kind of capacity building in this country. And that's what, as an SIA, taking the clue from the speakers, we're also going to advise what kind of the policy framework need to be done in order to create a kind of ecosystem for the financing in this regard too. So therefore, industry collaboration with the government, that's for the development of new strategies with reference to ownership, revenue sharing, all this should be, play an important role for the growth of the sector. There are very few points that I brought it now, but as we go along, I think some more points will emerge, and we will come up with a compendium of sessions from our side. And I once again thank all the participants. Yesterday's meeting, it was very, very vocal. Each one of them very, very vocal. You can see the number of participants that shows the demand for Indian business, and the people are eager to participate into that. And very active deliberations that happened. And also, we also welcome the delegates and others for today's deliberations. I'm sure very, very fruitful the policy initiatives will emerge today too. Thank you very much.